everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I am the Darklight Emissary, and today's episode is the second in our series on the battle doctrines and strategies of the 30k era Legiones Astartes. In this episode, we'll focus on the 19th Legion, the Raven Guard. At first glance, the Raven Guard may seem very similar to the 20th Legion that we just went over. They both share an affinity for covert operations, true, but whereas the Alpha Legion uses covert and wet work from the darkness as a main focus, it isn't honed into the sharpened dark edge of midnight like the Raven Guard's particular version is. The Raven Guard are the ultimate in stealth operations. While this legion did see direct compliance actions, one of which most famously, or infamously, ended up being Isfahan III, they are a legion that often dispatches small squads or individuals on clandestine operations as well. Many acts of sabotage and assassinations have been carried out by these warriors of shadow, with no one the wiser except the Raven Guard, and whichever lord gave the order to them. Their Primarch does not value a rigid hierarchical structure or authoritarian leadership style. While corax word remains law, his men enjoy a high degree of autonomy and choosing the correct path forward for themselves. Corax gave his men a template to follow, with the trust being given to flexibly apply it to any given situation. While the Legion often deployed in its entirety together, they would melt into a theater of war, each company, squad, individual, each assigned their task and autonomy to decide how best to proceed towards their goals. This including the Primarch himself, who often, while setting the plans for his legion, would also melt into the shadows alone, only reappearing when and where he chose to, not even his closest advisors knowing exactly where he was at those times. The Legion's main strategy would then be to set to work tackling the weak points of a given enemy world or civilization, destroying supply lines, ambushing armored columns, and disappearing back into the darkness, that haven't been seen at all, with the overarching plan leaving the enemy world in shambles, ready for a now humbled leadership to bow the knee to the Emperor and compliance. One of the unique traits that corax passed on to some of his sons is the ability to shadow walk, or basically cast some sort of latent aura that allowed them to be unseen in the open. Marines in this unit were known as the Mor Daithan. Many of these warriors were not present at the Dropsite Massacre, which saw most of his legion destroyed, and only the Primarch and a few others in the legion knew of their existence at all. Being consummate lone wolves, it is not known, but my opinion, that several of these are probably still active in the current 41st millennium, still fulfilling goals and a creed of death from the darkness that their Primarch trained into them, and that in some ways they inherited. Perhaps understandably, but somewhat unfairly in some regards, the Raven Guard is somewhat compared to the Night Lord's Legion sometimes, since both of them seem to share an affinity for the using of darkness to do their bidding. A great story, though, shows the stark difference in their uses and understanding of the dark, and just how much more the Raven Guard are focused on stealth as a stratagem. The Night Lords, along with their Primarch, the Night Haunter, were on a world, and you'll have to forgive me, I don't remember the exact story here, but I do remember the situation. The Night Lords were either terrorizing a world, as was their general style in prosecuting conflicts, and it was either night or otherwise dark out, just as they tended to like it. However, from seemingly nowhere came corax and a squad of Raven Guard, and their sudden appearance absolutely unsettled the Night Lords. They had never been taken by surprise in such a way once in their existence. They were often the ones bringing unsettlement to those they brought war to. As their name suggests, they tend to claim ownership over the night. Having come from the eternally dark world of Nostromo, they call home. But they realize that while they may revel in darkness and use it to terrify their prey, the Raven Guard are the darkness itself, that even the Night Lords merely use. Typically, the Raven Guard tend to shun anything that slows them down or makes them less stealthy, so they avoid things like Terminator armor to a large degree, or large armored columns of tanks and other heavy weaponry in any great degree. However, if the situation calls for it, they do have some of these in their inventory to call forth for hardened enemy targets. Most Marines tend to favor lightning claws, snipers, or other specialized gear like Volkite weaponry. At their most basic level, they will still use the standard bolter and chainsword, but often each squad or individual Raven Guard is going to be given the ability to choose the kit they need to succeed in their given mission or role. The Legion also tends to favor jump pack technology and owns a few unique sets that are more efficient than the standard type style jump packs most of these squads employ. Perhaps one of the most unique aspects of the Raven Guard is that the Forge World Kaivar that provides much of the equipment for the Raven Guard often implements unique versions of technology that, were the Mechanicus at large able to study more closely, would probably find generally heretical in its innovations and improvements over the standard version of Marine war gear and equipment. Some of this allows for suits of power armor utterly silent when powered up, and other interesting technology like reflex void shields that make their ships completely undetectable by enemy sensors. And probably many more esoteric upgrades that this Legion alone, and Chapter 6 extras later, still enjoy to this day. Although the true extents and technologies this Legion did and still does employ is ultimately cloaked in darkness and mystery, even to the modern 40k era. And so this has been a little overview of the Raven Guard Legion. It's a little bit shorter here, but that's the general gist for them on what they do generally for battle and doctrines. If you like this, please subscribe or leave a comment if you have any questions or further commentary on this Legion. And please leave a like as well if you'd like to. We are really close to 500 subscribers, and it's really cool to see that. Thanks so much for all your support so far. We will be going over the next Legion in another day or two and continue to go down each Legion, an overview of their battle doctrines and traits, specifically that part about each Legion. There is a separate playlist already for each Legion and their Primarch as a general history of that Legion or Primarch if you are interested. These are just meant to be short little tidbits on exactly what makes each Legion tick a bit in terms of what is their specialization. So, hope you liked it. As always, please bring your light into the dark places, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day or night, wherever you are. Thank you.